14 women, as you mentioned, 24 could eventually come forward, according to the lawyer, Tony Busby, who is filing all of these lawsuits. For the NFL, there is an investigation that is already underway. What are the options for the league at this point if this plays out for a month, 2 months, 3 months?
The NFL has very broad power, Dan, to basically do whatever it believes is the right thing in any given situation. And the personal conduct policy is something that was created by PR concerns. 99.9% of the employers in America take the position that you keep working until you can't work because you're in jail. And if you plead guilty and you serve probation, or if you're sued and you lose, that doesn't affect your employment. The NFL created a personal conduct policy that regulates the things that players do on their personal time when they're not at work, because the NFL wants to be able to say we have responsible members of society who don't go around engaging in misconduct. So the NFL has to decide at what point the PR concerns require something more than just an investigation. Does the NFL reach its own conclusion, which the NFL now does post-Ray Rice? The NFL no longer defers to what the justice system ultimately decides. Will the NFL decide to put Deshaun Watson on paid leave while these 14 cases go forward and whatever prosecution potentially may happen? That's something that Tony Busby is trying to instigate in Houston, although I don't think prosecution is viable here because of the very high standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. But these are various options available to the NFL, and I think it's driven by which way the wind's blowing and how hard the wind is blowing and how much of a distraction the NFL thinks this is. But one potential outcome here is the Texans can't trade Deshaun Watson, and he gets placed on paid leave, and he gets paid his full salary this year to not play for the Houston Texans while everyone waits and sees how these cases play out.
And just to be clear, my perception on everything I've heard and read is that the Texans, obviously, as the rest of us, totally blindsided by this, right? They did not see this coming.
They didn't see it coming. Now, there's a fair question to be asked on whether or not they got a heads up from Tony Busby. I was not convinced by his explanation at his press conference last week when he acted like he didn't know the first name of the guy who owns the team. You can't be a Houston lawyer, very prominent, a guy who ran for mayor, and not know that Cal McNair is the owner of the local NFL team. When he says Cal or Hal or whatever his name is, that to me is just one of those things that doesn't get through the crap filter and makes me say something's going on here. And that's something I've been trying to explain to people. There doesn't have to be a conspiracy theory at play here. It's as simple as Tony Busby, as part of his due diligence, when he's evaluating this lawsuit, calling up someone he knows with the Texans, and just saying, do you know anything about this? Have you heard about this kind of behavior? This is a heads up for you that there's an issue that's quite possibly going to end up with a lawsuit being filed, and they can say this is all off the record, this conversation didn't happen. We know stuff like that happens all the time. But I'm not buying the idea that the Texans were caught as flat-footed as we are. I would guess they knew something was percolating before last Tuesday night when the first lawsuit was filed.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.